Hello, 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 and welcome to the Drag Race RuCap here on reality TV RHAPups. I'm your host, Liana Boraas, and today we are going to be talking about episode 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race season 16. It is the second part of our split premiere. We've now met all the girls. We've seen our second talent show and our second weird photo shoot. I can't wait to talk about everything from the mini to the maxi challenge with our wonderful panel here today. So first, let me welcome in this fantastic woman. It is Beth Dixon. Beth, how are you?
I'm doing well. I had such a good Friday seeing drag queens on television between The Traitors and Drag Race, and I am excited and stoked.
Okay, fantastic. And we would not be complete without this wonderful person, Aman Adwin. Aman, lighting a candle, setting the vibe. How you feeling?
A little pumpkin,
Yes.
I'm still in the fall in terms of the candles that I have, but
I still have Christmas up, so don't even.
Yeah.
I'm good. I really enjoyed this episode, and I'm just excited to see the queens all come together next week. So, full steam ahead.
Yes,
there's going
that's
to be some personalities next week, and I'm excited.
Yes. Yes, I really do feel like that's the headline here today, is talking about the personalities than even the actual talents themselves. We will get into all of that. First, let me thank those of you who left star ratings and reviews for us. That's incredibly, incredibly helpful. So again, I'm going to just push out another plug, especially at the beginning of the season, where this is the time where people are looking for new podcasts. And so if you're interested in doing that, you can go to robswebsite.com/drag race, and that will be helpful. So please, thank y'all. Okay. Let's talk about drag. Come on. Where do we start?
Let's talk about drag, baby.
Yes. All right. You and me, Aman. Let's talk about it. What's your headline from this episode?
Headline from this episode. Banana Mania. Yeah. I think that Nymphia win was really an eye catcher for me. I think she was an eye catcher for a lot of us. I mean, all of us were talking about how we wanted to draft her when we were doing the draft. I would say she's definitely Banana Mania, and then the subtext to that would probably be like delivered to you on a plain Jane, something like that. I don't know.
Yes, exactly.
Don't miss your flight.
I mean, I agree. I think Nymphia obviously makes a super strong impression. I think all of us from the preview kind of felt that she would. And then the person who I did not think would make a strong impression is plain Jane, Beth. I mean, she I don't know who I saw in the preview podcast, because this did not to me seem like the same person.
No, I'm in the same exact boat as you. I have not been watching like the releasing of the entrances or anything like that, so I didn't watch previous to Friday night, and I was like, oh, she's coming out swinging. Okay, great. But you know what, I respect a person who says I'm a bitch and backs that up. I'm a person who can appreciate a good old-fashioned TV villain who don't give a shit and has the talent to back it up. I will go when we discuss later as to whether or not I, was as impressed as maybe something else that we got to see. But that said, she knows what show she's on. She knows how to appeal to the host. She knows how to get her camera time. I think she's going to be very fascinating. That was nothing plain about her.
I know. The name is such a misnomer.
It really is. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I'm going back and forth with plain Jane. I do appreciate someone that is willing to, give us that snark, give us that shade in the diary room. And I don't think that she's like totally horrible or anything right now. I guess I just like quite, it's like, because I just saw this tweet actually this morning. It was like someone was saying, oh, thank God we have someone like plain Jane, who's like, we haven't had someone like on her like someone like her on Drag Race in a long time. And I'm like, and then someone quoted the tweet saying, mistress says hello. And I was like, yeah, I didn't really have a problem.
And Lux.
And Lux. I don't have a problem with Mistress last season. I thought that Mistress was just like the way that she would read was just so fun, and just like she just really knew how to just like give it to you, but like give it to you in like a fun, messy way. I don't know if Plain Jane necessarily has that same talent in Allure when it comes to her reads in the diary room. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, what about you, sis? Like, I don't know. Like, so I'm not quite there yet. Like, I don't think that she's like as horrible as we've seen some queens be in the past. Like, some queens just tear the smithereens out of the other queens. But yeah, I'm sort of like, I'm not sure if I'm catching this flight just yet.
Ooh,
I wonder if part of it too was that with Mistress, who I personally really enjoyed, and I can see putting in the same vein, at least in terms of a little bit more of willing to be sassy and give it back and all of that. I feel like because the editing was so heavy for Plain Jane, whereas with Mistress you had the twins, you had so much other stuff going on that it didn't feel like as overwhelming as this episode felt like with Plain Jane, because she to me was the main character. Whereas when we look at the first episode with the other half of the split premiere, I can name a bunch of main characters. It felt like more of an ensemble cast, whereas this felt like Nymphia's being sort of like kooky, fun, weird in the background, and then Plain Jane is the character. And then everybody else, in my opinion, just with the way that it felt like the story was being told sort of fell a little bit by the wayside. I'm very curious to see what happens when she meets the other girls. I want to know what's going to happen when some of these personalities are potentially going to push back with her. So I think that is going to be very entertaining.
If I were a mandatory meeting, I'd be hiding right now.
Oh my God. I saw a tweet. I can't remember, tweet, Reddit, whatever, that was like, imagine when these two meet. And it was a mandatory next week.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
oh, no.
I saw that tweet as well. And it's, I haven't been able to like not get that out of my head. And like, I'm like waiting for episode 3 for this. I also think the difference, now that we're bringing up like Mistress and such, is I really think Mistress came at reads from a drag queen who's been around the block, who knows how to put together an artful read that's out of like love and respect, but also is trying to like tell you something. First, like, that is not what Plain Jane is doing. She's not trying to tell you something. She's just being a bitch. Like, that's not a read. A read, you know, is something artful. That wasn't artful. That was just mean, kind of thing. So I think that that's the difference, is like there's a little bit of like the maturity factor of like how long maybe they've been in the drag scenes, also very different drag scenes. We know Boston queens are not afraid to read a bitch down, but I also would say, like, I don't know. I'm happy to have a villain on TV, whereas I never saw Mistress or Luxx as villains, although the fan base certainly did. And I would also say, if you're praising Plain Jane, but we're actively coming after Luxx, check your microaggressions, check your implicit biases. Thank you. But I will also say that I do think it's going to be interesting to see, does she calm down? Was this a lot of her trying to like, you know, coming out of the, you know, the woodwork, the gates, trying to get her moment? Because it felt very forced to me. Like there were times it didn't feel like this was her. It was her being like, I'm going to be bitchy because I know it'll make the cut, kind of thing.
Oh my God. Okay, thank you for bringing that up. And Aman, I'm happy you agree as well, because this is my conspiracy theory, is that she is so smart and so calculating. It's all put on. Totally. From the weird Jimbo act to the reading is like, oh, I'm going to be the villain. I'm going to get more airtime. I'm going to like, it all feels so smart and so calculating. That's my like tinfoil hat conspiracy theory that I just can't get out of my mind. And that's obviously there's no fact. Okay, like I'm just gonna say I had no facts, right? There's no evidence apart from how I interpret what she's doing, and that is my interpretation. So I'm so happy that you both agree, because I was sitting there just being like, oh God, it feels so put on sometimes, of like, this is a calculated decision that she's made in order to progress further in the show.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does really feel like the boobs of it all. I'm getting just a smidge. I'm getting just a smidge tired of the boobs, y'all. Like, I'm just like, after getting so much Jimbo in All Stars 8, and then like, I don't know. I just feel like the advent of the breastplate is upon us. Okay, it's like you need to pray to the breastplate gods in order to do well on Drag Race now. And I'm like, there's so much more to drag than like I'm just like. But it is what it
know.
is. I'm not saying I mean, yeah, there's certainly an argument to be made there, but I think I agree. I think that Plain Jane is definitely playing the game. And I do wonder how is that going to stack up once you're forced to reckon with actual talent and uniqueness and charisma, because like we said, when a lot of these worlds collide next week, it's going to be very interesting to see how people stack up against one another and what that does to how you see yourself in the competition. So let's see if she can keep it up. I'm all for it. If she wants to continue to talk her throughout the season, then and she can back it up, then I'm here for it. But as of right now, I haven't like I said, I haven't bought the ticket yet. I'm searching other airlines right now,
Yeah. Well, and for me, it's the Safira of it all. When she meets her, like those are the two that I want to see interact, and I can't wait. But
I met Safira.
yes,
forgot all about it. It was so funny. So like I went out into Philly's neighborhood like last weekend, and we were a bunch of the gay clubs were playing like the Golden Globes in the background. It was Sunday night. And we went from one bar to the next, and I was talking with my friends about Drag Race and everything. And literally, as we walked into this bar, I swear to you, I think the human brain is crazy, because I wasn't even talking about Safira, like specifically at that point, but we were walking behind this man that was standing at the bar, and he had a blue wide-brimmed hat on, and something in my brain associated that wide-rimmed blue hat with the wide-rimmed blue hat that Safira wears in her confessionals, and I wasn't even actively doing it. I think that my brain just literally saw it, remembered it somewhere, and then I was like, oh yeah, and by the way, Safira We walked a couple of spaces to the left of that gentleman, and then stood like a couple paces down, and we were talking for like a good, like, I don't know, maybe 30 more seconds, just talking about Safira and like her breastplate and everything. And then literally someone comes up behind us and is like, hey, so I heard my name. And I turn around and I'm like,
oh my God, please don't. What were you saying? Were you saying mean stuff? Were you shading?
And this is see, I have a friend that is guilty of always talking too much shit about people. And I'm like, sir, you really need to calm down, because one of these days you are going to say the wrong thing to the wrong person, or something is going to get back to that person. And thankfully, they were all light reads that he was making. He was like, he wasn't a fan of the breastplate thing. He was like, she should have fastened it on more. That was kind of tacky, yada, 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 yada. But I was like, no, that was hilarious. She made it work. She had it was as if it was choreographed. That was the magic of the spontaneity of it all. So my ass is in the clear. Now, whether or not Safira heard my friend saying any of that stuff, I don't know. She didn't really make it clear, but she was just like, hey, so I heard my name. She assumed that we were talking about her because she was here in the city during Friday night hosting a gig at Brooklyn Bowl for a viewing party. And so she assumed that we were there talking about her. And she was like, oh, so did you guys like the show? And I thought that she meant like the show. And I was like, yeah, like, girl, like, yes, you did it. Like, I'm so glad, I'm so glad that we had you there for Break My Soul, because I don't know about the other one. She wasn't really serving, but at least we had you there.
The other one.
But she was like, no. She was like, thank you. I really appreciate that. But I meant like the viewing party. You guys went, right? I was like, no, I'm sorry. We all were working. We weren't there. But like, if you ever have another one, we would love to come. She's like, yeah, I think I'm going to have another one like towards the end of the season. So like, definitely come through. And I was like, we'll be there, sis. And then I was like asking her about the show and everything and how she felt that she did. And she was like, girl, I filmed that a year ago. I really don't remember most of it. I was like, okay, go sit more.
That means she goes far. If she can't remember everything, mark my words, she goes to the end now.
Spoiler.
Not that I had after last week, I kind of figured that would be the case.
I mean, yeah. I think we could.
But yeah, she was fun. She was sweet. She was, down to earth, real. Like it felt like I was just talking to another fan of the show. Like she was just and she wanted feedback. She really was invested in like how did you feel like the show went?
I hope that you said, hey, listen, I have a wonderful podcast with these two amazing women.
I did. I said
no way!
I pulled out my, because she was like, yeah, I do a show like every week and I talk about the show and everything. And she was like, oh, I'm gonna have to give it a listen. And I didn't want to be that person that was gonna be like, oh, well, let me send you it to you in a DM or whatever. So it's just like, I will tag you numerous times whenever we release an episode just so that you can see. And I'm sure she checks social media, so I'm sure she'll see the tag. So if you end up watching this, hello again, Safira. It was really nice meeting you. My friend doesn't hate you. He was just, not. You should have. He felt you should have fastened the breastplate. I say free the nipple. It is what it is. Okay.
Free the nipple. That is amazing. That's amazing.
So yeah, that was really fun. I enjoyed that. It was just so funny because literally, I remember seeing the hat. And just for whatever reason, the next word that was out of my mouth was Safira.
So was that Safira in the hat, or was it just somebody else?
Yes,
okay. I thought so.
It was her.
I thought it would have been funny if you just saw somebody else wearing that a hat, thought of Safira.
I didn't see her
Safira
face.
Came up and wasn't wearing that hat. Was just a completely different person.
It was her. Her back was to us. I had no other inclination that it was her. I didn't even think that it was her when I saw the hat. I was just when you walk into a space and you just scan the room. That's what would happen. I just scanned the room, saw a hat, started talking about Safira, and then the next thing I know, 30 seconds later, she's like, "Hey," I'm like, "Oh my god,
that's wild."
You manifested that shit. That's because you're a Pisces. I'm just putting it out there.
Was she slew-footed? Could you tell also based on the feet position?
I couldn't tell, but baby.
Oh man.
Okay.
It was a good time.
Good. So we've given our big picture thoughts. We've heard wonderful story time, which honestly, Aman, if you could do that every week, that would be ideal for me personally.
I'll try to find a drag queen in the wild,
Yes, that's your goal. That's your homework for every week. You have to go accidentally run into a queen. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. We have 5 other queens that we have not mentioned the names of. We got to meet Hershey, Plasma, Geneva, Megami, Maya, and of course, Plain Jane and Nymphia Wind, who we already talked about. We got to see a mini challenge with another photo shoot, which we'll get to. But I want to start with the Maxi challenge because this is another opportunity. We get to see a talent show. This one was the Queen Choice Awards. Derek Barry was there. And at least during the sliming was there in person, I assume, unless that was some black magic photo.
If they did all that just to make it seem like she was there, I'd have been like, okay, what are we doing? I tend to believe that she was there.
Yeah, which then I'm like, okay, maybe she was there last time. We just never saw that side shot. It was always the front shot, but whatever. Anyway. Oh, and what was so funny to me was when Ru does the reveal of the RHAP queen system and immunity. We know. But the show obviously wants to make it very dramatic, and the queens of hearing it for the first time, and they're very dramatic. And for me, I was like, yada 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 yada.
Yeah, come on, we get it. They're shocked.
Yeah. We know immunity. Blah 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 blah. Okay, let's talk about this main challenge. So the first queen up, Geneva, vroom vroom car, and Beth. She ends up in the top 2 after the RHAP queen system for her performance here.
I'm going to be honest. I felt like she should have been in the top. She should have been definitely either in the top 2 or just missing it because I loved her performance. I loved that she brought in such there was a seriousness of the culture that wasn't also taking itself too seriously, where she's joking around, she's being campy, she's making it drag. And plus, these catchphrases that people are saying in their songs, and I had the name is Geneva. I'm a diva. In my head, for
Michelle Visage was singing along to it. It was fun.
Loved it so much. I just thought it was catchy, it was campy, it was cultural. It was the 3 C's, baby. And I thought she looked gorgeous while she did it. And so, especially for the queen that I kind of forgot for the Meet the Queens, I was definitely not forgetting Geneva this week.
Yeah, it's always nice, as Michelle Visage pointed out, when queens bring something from their culture. So we get to see, how, because we have a very American view of what drag is, but drag happens all over the world, and so to see the little extra flavor from other parts is always fun and very eye-opening and a reminder.
Is that a reminder?
So yeah, I thought she did a good job. I thought that she was very high energy. I thought that she was delivering what needed to be delivered.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was fun. It was fun and it was
Mhm.
catchy. And it got you like bouncing in your seat.
I mean, one thing that I've noticed about Drag Race is when someone brings sort of a traditional cultural performance, they usually always do well, but usually don't end up in the top. And I think that that's because that there is something about either humor or a modern twist that almost is valued on Drag Race.
Mhm.
And even from, I mean, this was the Rated Queen system, so it was a little bit different. It wasn't necessarily the judges because maybe they would have put Nymphia on the top. I don't know. But I think the fact that Geneva took the traditional dance, but also then with the modern performance, I think that
Mhm.
also really helped her. And I agree, the repetitive lyrics, some might consider it lazy, but I consider it memorable. And because Michelle could sing along, Aman, as you mentioned, like that just sort of helps to remember, right? Because you're just hearing the same song, you're like you're grooving, you're vibing, you're singing along, you're participating in the performance. So I think
Yeah.
that was really smart from her, and also I think captured her personality as well. So I think it was a very smart choice for her first performance.
I'm
Yeah, I think
still singing let loose, and you know, like the I'm bored. The boys want to know where my ding-a-ling go. Like I'm still singing that shit because it was simple and repetitive. Like, so this is a good way, like, regardless, because I don't, you know, I obviously don't know how far anybody goes in this competition or anything, but like Geneva could go home next week or like be in the final 3, and I'm still gonna be having that song in my head thinking about her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you know, it's also always still a risk. You know, there's still a risk of, you know, when you're putting, you know, you're bringing your culture to the stage. Like, I think that sometimes queens might be a little misguided in bringing their culture to the stage, thinking that like, oh, they can't read my culture, right? It's like, well, no, Michelle Visage will still most definitely read you if your culture can be beautiful, but is it beautiful drag all the time? Like, you know, the one example that I always think of, or two examples, is oh my god, I forget her name. She did an African dance, but her stuff kept falling all over the place. I forget her name. She was the first queen to go during season 14. Black girl. I forget her name.
Oh,
Jambalaya?
Opulence.
Jambalaya. Yeah. June
Jambalaya.
Jambalaya. And then I also think of Soju, who
who
tried to recreate.
What was her name? Mercedes Iman Diamond? And
Yeah,
season
Mercedes
11.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking also of Soju, who, like, you know, created that traditional Korean wedding dress. And Michelle was like asking her about the proportions of everything, and she's like, "Well, you know, I really tried to go for like just traditional route." And Michelle was like, "That's wonderful. It doesn't work." Like, so you still have to find you know, it is a drag competition. So yes, you can bring your culture, but make sure that you are making some adjustments so that it adheres to the guidelines of the competition. So yeah, I think that it is still a risk. Like, bringing your culture is beautiful, but you still have to drag it up.
Let's talk about our next performer, Hershey liqueur. What was it? Hershey liquor store today.
Liquor store today, yeah.
Yeah, like, of course.
She should come out. That's a good branding opportunity. She should like make, you know, not like full like bottles, but like maybe those like little mini bottles, like, and call it like a little Hershey Chate, like a little liquor shot. I'd buy that.
That's cute. I love that.
And she should get it together with Cornbread, who makes cornbread. And I just put together like a little. I've been long saying, you know, we should be having adult Lunchables that are like charcuterie boards with like a little bottle of wine that goes with it. You know what I mean? Like, you should sell shit like that.
Oh my god, that would sell like a motherfucker.
Could you imagine? You're like buying your kids Lunchables, and then you're like, and this is for mommy, and it's like,
yeah. And don't you dare mix them up.
Instead of a little cookie, I get a little bottle of wine.
Sending your kids to school with wine. Oh my god.
Oh my god. That's actually, yeah. Okay, maybe there's a good thing we don't do that.
All right, well, let's go talk about this liquor store instead of our different marketing opportunities. So Hershey does, I don't even know, Aman, how to describe it. It was like a spoken word story into sort of a rap performance / ad.
In the wild?
Yes, in the jungle.
Why
was she selling? Was it a wig glue that she was selling?
I think,
was that what it was?
What I wrote down was, is this an ad for Whiplash, quote, a wig glue, question mark? That was my interpretation.
And like, so I can kind of understand it, because it's like you're in the wild and your hair is wild and you need something to tame it. And like, So I kind of get that. It wasn't as cohesive as I wanted it to be. It was fun, and especially when she started doing all the hair flipping and the duck walking, that was when I was like, okay, I'm in. Yeah. It kind of took just a little bit too long to sort of get there a little bit, which is why I feel like it sort of got lost in translation just a touch. But I do like the general concept. I think you just needed a little bit more editing, a little bit more focus.
I thought that she was searching for like her abilities to like whip her hair, like whip it around or whatever.
Like
that's
in the very fact that all three of us are having different interpretations.
Yeah,
of it
exactly.
Really
No. It's exactly like, you know what? No, I'm going to take the route that this is art and art is subjective. And therefore we're all supposed to have our own interpretation. No, I do think that it was a little confusing, but that said, like, I just want to put out a shout out. And I think WoW Presents Plus is missing an opportunity if they don't capitalize on this. We need a show with Hershey and Plasma ASAP. I was living for the two of them in the very beginning, just having like the back and forth. They like from the get-go had really good chemistry. And I love how different the two of them are and their drag and like their aesthetic and everything, but like how fun and entertaining just the two of them are as well. But no, I did kind of unfortunately put Hershey towards the bottom of my list just because I felt like the other acts were either more cohesive or whatever the case might be. But like that wouldn't stop me from throwing dollar bills at her in a club. You know what I mean? Like I was entertained. I just felt like you're saying, Aman, like I felt like the idea was a little, what's happening here?
Like what's going on, perhaps you could say, by the Four Non-Blondes, perhaps you could say. Okay, look, I'll tell you my interpretation. I think I was probably the highest overall compared to the two of you on her performance, and I think it was because it was weird and because I didn't really understand what was happening and because I liked all the hairography that I was just sort of weirdly captivated by whatever bizarre thing was happening on my television screen. And I did expect, there are two, I guess, critiques. One, I expected some kind of reveal. I don't know why. I think Drag Race has just primed me to like expect or need something like that. In particular, because I thought that her look was very pedestrian. I think that's why I expected a look. I expected her to turn into like a snake or something. I don't know why that's where my brain went. She was in the jungle. But it was like a safari outfit, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't feel drag enough. Like we need something more, and that is again I think why I expected the reveal. So for me that was sort of the biggest critique that I had for the performance. I thought it was very fun, very weird, obviously though multiple interpretations, so maybe she missed the point in terms of communicating a message. And why was she in the jungle? You know, she gives an explanation in Untucked, but even then it was like, I don't think you believe your own.
I think her explanation wasn't her explanation in Untucked, her just being like, because I was looking for my whiplash. And we're like, but what does that mean?
Like,
what
I'm
does
searching
it
in the
mean?
jungle.
What does it mean?
What does it mean? Okay, let's talk about Plasma. Beth, you discussed the wonderful, especially that first workroom interaction between Hershey and Plasma. What are your thoughts on her performance and your impression of her overall so far?
I felt like she should have been in the top 3 as well. I don't think she was singing live. I do think that was a pre-recording. I couldn't tell at first, but it very much, there were times where it didn't sync up where it made me think she was lip syncing.
But then her sisters in Untucked were like, "Oh yeah, you sounded good, girl." So I was like, "So was she singing?"
I was very confused, and it very well could be that maybe they used footage because they normally run those twice in a row, like do them twice, I think. So very well could have been they used footage from this, but audio from that, or something like that. But regardless, it was clearly her voice, whether it was pre-recorded or not, and she has obviously a really great voice. I was really thrown to Broadway and thinking of the show, The Drowsy Chaperone, where there's a song that Sutton Foster's character from the show, that is actually the Tony performance from like 2003 or something like that. It's her doing I Don't Want to Show Off No More, but it's her showing off everything that she can do as like this Broadway. So it's like really funny. So it's like I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do kicks. I don't want to, wear heels. I don't want to have to do flips. I don't want to have to. And she's doing all those things. And it felt very that. And I loved it. It was like right up my personal alley of something. And like, I thought that her impressions were good. They weren't amazing. Like the Joan Rivers one was not quite there. But I felt like the others were good. It was those kind of things. But I felt like she did a little smattering of a lot of different things that for me was entertaining and kept me engaged. And I knew exactly who she was, what she was doing, what she could bring to the table. And if she was singing live, then I'm like, I'm always going to champion for the people who sing live. Just because I know how hard that is. So, but that's also a personal thing.
Monet Exchange and All Stars for her.
That
who was
Jeremy and All
fucking
Stars
Valentina
2.
who was like,
find the note, girl.
Jeremy and All Stars 2 tried to sing a cappella. Find the note, girl.
Find the note. Oh, girl.
It's always funny to like make fun of the queens that can actually sing, but they were just having a bad day. It's just like, oh, girl, that was not your day. But yeah, I think the quick succession of impressions was, it was cool. It was kind of serviceable. I think that we've seen so many of these characters on Drag Race now that some of these characters become kind of like stock characters. So it's like, well, everybody does a that Joan Rivers impression. You know what I mean? Like it's such a given these days. So I wasn't thoroughly impressed. Like I like that she went. I think the talent in it was switching so quickly, and I liked the jab that she threw out. Ru was like, I'm not even gonna. No, because I know what it's like I know what happens to queens that try to impersonate you, and they never seem to go too well. So I'm just gonna let that be where it is. But yeah, I think it was good. I think it was put together well. I do think that she sort of like shoehorned in a lot of her talents because she wanted to make it known what she can do. And even her DR afterwards was like, see, yeah, you guys didn't expect that, did you? And I'm like, I kind of could have guessed that you would have done something like this, but I'll give it to you.
Yeah. I think we all guessed that's what you were going to do. I would have been blown away if you'd gone up and done like Hershey's thing or like Maya's.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I think obviously the critique that she gets from the judges, or maybe it was just Michelle, was this is too much, like you're doing too much. And I guess the three talents were the singing, the taking of the gloves off, plus the chest thing to reveal the necklace, and then the impressions. So I guess maybe the burlesque element of it probably could have gotten removed, because I didn't think, like, I thought that putting the impressions in with the singing, I didn't think that felt too much over the top, and I felt like it was quick, right? It's not like she stayed then on the impressions for too long. She went through a bunch of them really quickly, and they were really varied, right? Because you kind of go from the Joan Rivers to Marilyn, which was just the body and the noise.
Jennifer Coolidge.
Coolidge.
Yeah. But I also like her changing up the like, I wanted a hot dog in my ass on the 4th of July. Like that was like so stupid, and I loved that.
So I thought it was fun. I thought it was cute. I think it was a good way for her to show off those talents. But now I'm like, oh no, I hope you didn't ruin any Snatch Game. Maybe she must have a ton of impressions then, if she was willing to go through all of those. So, and also, okay, this is just a general comment about Plasma, and this might sound really mean, but she doesn't annoy me as much as I thought she would. I thought she was going to kind of be annoying, and I'm really happy that she's not. I'm like so pleased. I'm very much enjoying her so far. But I'm nervous. I'm like, oh no, now are you the Jan?
No, she 1,000% is the Jan, number one. She was number two, wearing the Jan robe.
Oh my God. When I saw that, I was like, no.
It's the House of Jan.
House of Jan. Jan lives on. All right. Let's talk about Nymphia Wind. We've spoken a little bit about her, Aman, but she does sort of her traditional tie dance with those really beautiful long sleeves.
Yeah. I think that she should have won. I thought that it was beautiful. It was drag, the sort of like drama and hiding her face, the way that she was able to elongate those sleeves and then pull them back in and throw them back out again, I thought was very technical. Ending in that pose on one leg, I thought that the whole time I was just like, oh, this is, I mean, I've seen performances similarly to this, not on Drag Race, but I just felt like I was taken somewhere when I watched it. And I wanted to see more, quite frankly. So, and then her reveal, like going from a beautiful, luscious, ripe banana to rotten bananas, like I just thought the whole thing, her whole week was a smash for me, and I would have put her at the top. I think one of the reasons, as we're led to believe, that she didn't get to the top was because of one Plain Jane.
Plain Jane.
No. I mean, obviously, I think she also looks like a very flexible performer as well. Like, I feel we got to see that. I'm very interested to see her in some of the other dance performances because I think she moves her body quite well. I thought that was very beautiful. The makeup was stunning. Yeah, I pretty much agree with all of your critiques. I think if I were judging, I think I would have personally put her in the top just because I'm kind of enamored with her in general. And then when you combine that with the look, that really did it for me.
Yeah. I also love pretty much all the content we got from her this entire episode. We get a really good kind of quick cultural history lesson of Taiwan as well to really understand, the pride that she has of saying like, hi, like Taiwan is like the first Asian country to pass gay marriage laws. I'm very proud of where I come from. It's a very small scene. We all know each other. I moved here, like 2 years ago. And I just really, I thought it was absolutely stunningly beautiful. Like it almost brought tears to my eyes because it was like watching. It's like when you watch someone of any kind of dance who just like breaks the barrier of human movement where you're like, this person is dancing to being like, this person is using their body for art. I don't know. Like it's
yeah,
for
I know
me,
exactly
like,
what you mean.
Where I don't sit there going, this person is dancing. Instead, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. In the same way that like my school, this is going to sound stupid. My school is a D1 hockey school and women are not allowed to check in hockey. So if I go and watch the women's hockey team, it's like watching poetry in motion. It is technically beautiful and perfect, and it's not as aggressive as like the men's hockey. And so instead of being like, yeah, slam against the wall, you're like, oh my God, like I can't believe like how beautiful that movement was or something. Like you just get kind of lost in like, wow, I can't believe the human body can do that, or like the illusion of the props and like those kind of things. I don't know. It just it evoked a lot.
I need to go watch some women's hockey.
I'm telling you, and it's like nobody goes and watches women's hockey, and it's so much better than men's hockey. Anyway, but that's not the point of this. The point being is just like I love when people are able to kind of break the illusion that they're human and instead are an instrument of art. Like, and that's what I got from her.
I think she's gonna win, and y'all know I don't be saying that stuff. I don't even like making predictions like that. I think she's gonna win.
Just
I
saying,
really
you wouldn't
do.
be mad at the House of Wind winning. That's all I'm saying. I would be happy.
I just get like this, like you see some, like you meet some of these queens, and you're just like, I just can't picture you being in the bottom. That's how I feel about her right now. And yes, it's really early. This is her first episode, but like, I don't know. I'm just getting this vibe that she's gonna win season 16.
Like, what's the weakness? Right. Like what's the thing that's going to land you in the bottom that could send you home? And seeing this performance
maybe an acting challenge, maybe? I don't know.
But she's campy.
Yeah.
I don't know if she makes her own clothes. I don't know that.
Oh yeah,
sign challenge, maybe.
That could be.
And it wouldn't shock me if she's like, oh yeah, by the way, I designed and made everything too. Then I'm gonna be like, put a crown on her head.
I could see it also where it's like, I don't know how, but I have an eye for fashion. So I've hot glued this thing together and it will last approximately 2 hours, but that's all I need it to last for me to wear it on the runway or something like that, where she can pull that out. Yeah. Ooh, okay, Aman, lock it in.
Yeah, I don't see her going home on a sewing challenge. I see her being like, oh, we were disappointed, but
like that third place, like they're not willing to put her in the bottom, but she was low, like a low score. Yeah.
Or they're like, this other queen is clearly going home. Why don't you go lip sync against her?
Gotta have a moment of weakness. Okay. We are going to talk about Megami. All right? That's what's going to happen. We're going to give our thoughts on her performance. So she does a lip sync performance to What's Going On for it Unplugged. She has several props. And at the end, we know, holds up the sign, protect queer art. And we get Plain Jane in the confessional saying, but is she giving us anything worth protecting?
Girl, Soak, what up?
Oh my God. I am so curious to know where the two of you land on this performance. Beth, why don't you kick things off? What were you feeling?
I'm sorry. The Plain Jane read was both so out of line,
but
also so funny.
Okay. The fact, though, that the show chose to include that after the performance.
It was definitely an interesting choice.
In the performance, if they had been like cut away to her, like, what are you protecting? Soak, what up? You know, like that kind of shit. I'm telling you, I do think that was an uncalled for comment, because I am somebody who will always be like a big fan of somebody saying, I've got 15 seconds of fame and they can't cut my talent. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to spread the word that I want to. They can cut everything I say in the workroom, in a confessional. They can't cut my talent. And I want to come out here and, in a time where drag queens are being attacked, say my piece. I think there's not a person out there that loves this show isn't going, thank you for the message. But it would have been more impactful if you did something too with it, you know, like if it wasn't just holding a sign. I think that like there could have been more elements of it to make it more impactful. I don't want to take anything away from her planning this out and getting the message across, because I think we're all cheering that on. But it would have been a
talent show at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And we've seen other queens deliver similar messages, but do it in an art way. Like the one that comes to mind, and not that it was like the best thing ever, but the one that comes to mind is Mariah Balenciaga, when she did like the whole art piece with the paint and everything and the blood, and really, you know, bringing to like gun violence in the country. I thought that was like a, you know, that is how that's how I feel like you should want to do it if you're doing a talent show, not just lip syncing and holding up signs. Like if this were like your regular you know, gig on a Saturday at some club, yeah, that's fine. But on RuPaul's Drag Race main stage, first episode, not with the like route
an arts and craft badge that you made. Like, I mean, like there's just elements like that I feel like could have been dragged up a little bit more.
It was just
or like
funny.
We've seen looks like Simone and Gottmik and all these people who have had like, who have been representing their culture, the messages that they want to say throughout their looks and their fashion, and are able to do it in a way that doesn't seem like,
especially somebody like Megami, who, you know, makes a lot of her, and she's very, very inspired by like costuming and stuff like that. I'm just like, girl, you couldn't have found a way to like weave the message into like a piece of your outfit and like rip it off, or like, you know what I mean? So like
right there,
maybe, you know, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. Maybe she'll come out on Roscoe's viewing party and be like, look, girl, like I had something else, and then something got messed up, and then I had to sort of like find something else. So that could very well be a thing as well. I just thought that it was interesting that the show, like you said, Liana, did sort of like also seem to agree with the take, because they didn't have to show Plain Jane saying that, but they did. So it's like, is the show sort of like started to like make fun of itself and like move in this direction where it's like, yeah, we know that we can be a little bit sappy and like, you know, saccharine on this show, and it can feel like a one giant episode of Glee half the time. So yeah, maybe we can, you know, make fun of ourselves and be like, girl, like, yeah, protect queer art. Yeah, we get it. I mean, like we're Drag Race. Like we're already trying, like we are a political statement within our very own existence. So I think that, you know, having a little fun with that is
really rich coming from Drag Race, who's like at the end of every episode holds up signs that says register to vote and does all this shit. So like, what are you saying here? Is it only okay if RuPaul's the one who gets the glory? you know?
Mhm.
But it was just
There
so
you
funny,
go.
like watching all of the judges, like, you know, like even Becky G. I was like, girl, because she did
I
one of these.
know.
I was like, no, don't do that. Just clap. Because that made it seem like she was like sort of like being like, oh, boo hoo. Like it just, I know that she wasn't, but that's what it looked like to me. And then all the judges were just like,
Can we also take a second
little
that
church
somebody
clap.
tweeted a photo of Becky G and all the queens being excited in the workroom when she came out, and they said the comment on Reddit was, "Oh look, the girl's first acting challenge."
Oh no! At least
Yeah.
Geneva Carr seemed to care and know who
Well,
Becky G was.
well,
so.
Someone did
sense,
comment. Someone did comment yesterday, or not yesterday, like on our last episode, because we were all kind of like, we don't really. I mean, I know who Becky G is. I know the name, and I know the shower song. I just, you know, she's not super super big. And someone was like, well, no, she's really really big in, you know, Latin countries. And I was like, you know, that makes sense. A lot that happens a lot. There are a lot of Latin
Sure.
artists that are huge as fuck with Latin people, and then for whatever reason they just never make the crossover. I think we're seeing Bad Bunny like be in the middle of this gigantic crossover right now. So it happens, and Rosalia as well. So it can happen. It just seems like for Becky G, unfortunately, it really hasn't. She hasn't had that crossover effect yet. Maybe she will, but I mean, I knew her name. I mean, I gotta be honest. Like, if I were on the second episode and then I met up with the queens later on, and they were like, "Yeah, this is who we got." We got Charlize Theron. I would have been like, "You will do this for me, Huntsman!" Like, I would have been like so pissed.
The other thing, I don't know why, but really made me laugh was the fact that Charlize brought in, you know, I made this traditional South African, and Becky G's in there with the air horn, just like, I
didn't even think of that. That's so funny.
Yeah. Like, okay. Cool. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but look, to go back to Megami, I mean, I think I echo what the two of you have said, right? Like, obviously everyone supports the message. It's just like, what, like, it love the message, but took a long time to get there. I think that was what the judges said, and I felt like that really encapsulated what I was feeling. I expected her to do something with the flag. There were bouquets of flowers along the edge of the runway. It was like you could see it in a wide shot, and I was like, oh, maybe that's another prop she's gonna do something with. And so I think just from you have such few minutes, like you really need to try to capitalize and make it just maybe a little bit a push more creative, perhaps, to just really capture the eye. Let's move to Maya. So Maya Aman LePage, the flip queen from TikTok, as we learned. Aman, she does a lip sync, but complete with flips, dips, tricks. The box is back. Is she going to jump from there? Is she going to fall from there? And to find out that the gymnastics were apparently self-taught. What?
Yeah,
amazing.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I've taught myself how to do like a front handspring and a little bit of a flip, but none of the crap that she was pulling off. That was insane.
That's cool.
Yeah, I thought that she did a pretty good job. I thought it was high energy. It was like, I mean, her coming like flipping off the box and then into the split was just, that's something that we haven't seen yet. So like,
It was cool.
I am all for the gymnastics. Like, we used to want to be a gymnast when I was young.
Like the headstand,
like, and then shaking her ass, like the whole thing was just really, 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 really well done. And yeah, I was thoroughly impressed. And I can if she's in the bottom, there's another one of those girls. I'm like, be careful, because RuPaul will just put you in the bottom just to make you do something. It's like, so yeah, I'm excited.
I'm really worried for what her trajectory on the show is going to be after watching this episode, because I really feel like they didn't really give her too much. And so that really,
she's like one trick pony.
Yeah. And I think that's unfortunate.
Plain Jane also said something in one of her DRs about that, and I was like,
I'm sure.
Burger Finger, really? Like, you're the one that's talking about the one trick pony? Come on.
Okay. Well, yes, for sure. I saw a tweet that said, Maya said that she and her cousins taught themselves this. So there is an army of flippers out there that we have yet to discover. This is just the first one. And I just like dying. I was like, yes. Maya and all of her cousins coming out and like doing a flip formation would just like absolutely kill me in the best ways. I think that, again, we're talking about talent. And last week was like the week of like everybody lip syncs a song they came up with. And like this week was very much individual, different kinds of talents, which I think was, for me, a lot of the discourse has been, well, last week was better than this week, or this week was better than last week, and that kind of thing. For me, I like variety. So I really enjoyed seeing Maya come out here and just like blow my mind with things I'll never be able to do and never have been able to do, and just be like, okay, so now you're just going to flip up onto a box, into a headstand, and shake your ass, and then flip back down and do an Aja times 4, and like incredible. Like it was just really, really, really good. I felt like her face sometimes betrayed the energy her body was giving. Where her face sometimes was, which like, who am I to point that out? But it's also like, it just feels like when you're on a TV show, a close-up is going to happen much more than like if you're in a club or at brunch or something like that. So I only felt like there were times where like her face wasn't like as engaged as the rest of her body.
I'm imagining a close-up at brunch where just the brunch participants walk up real close to her face. Like, what does that even look like? Of course there's not going to be a close-up at brunch.
Just love the idea that
okay.
Get up in there.
Yeah. I mean, look, of course, high energy, super fun. You get to see the variety. I am a little bit nervous for her, similar to what Beth was saying, but also like, okay, now she's really shown that talent. Now what? At least in terms of the show's narrative for her. Not that she can't come in and slay it in all these other challenges.
It looks like that's what it's going to be, because I feel like they don't include that confessional from Plain Jane if that's not like what they're setting her up for. So
I'm hoping it's not the case, but yes, that was my whole read of the situation.
Yeah.
And then that with the her runway as well, the fact that she took the reveal off like right away, I was like, there's just these little things that just I can see could be a problem later on, especially when they're starting to be judged and sent home. So,
and I liked her idea, and I mean, I'm sure that we'll talk a little bit more about the mini challenge, but I love the idea of her pretending to fall asleep and do that kind of stuff. But it felt like, again, it was a situation where people weren't really playing with her. And like, so is she not picking up what RuPaul's putting down, which is always an issue for like acting challenges if he's ever going to be a director or doing something. I just, those are the things where I get a little nervous too, even though I enjoyed what she was doing.
Plain Jane is our last queen to talk about, although we've already spoken a lot about her. So this is the burger finger performance, which I think, as I said, felt like something Jimbo would do, but like calculated Jimbo, whereas Jimbo just seems to ooze weirdness. This felt like a little bit put on, but also I thought, okay, so burger finger. So her explanation is that she smelled her finger after eating a burger, but I was like, it's your finger between two buns. Like is it an innuendo or no? Because I thought it was. And then she was like, it's just my burger, like my finger after I ate a burger. And
I think I got it as just her smelling her finger, like the idea of like the smelling of like, because I do know what she's talking about. You eat a burger and your hands smell like burger from there on out. Like I get it, but for me, I was like, I'm gonna be 1,000% with y'all. I didn't find this funny. I just was sat there and I was like, okay. But I knew that RuPaul was finding it funny. And I was like, well, she's playing the game. She knows exactly what she's doing. I will say, incredibly expressive face. And this is the thing that I think is interesting. She was doing a Jimbo-like performance, which felt calculated. But I also do think that she's trying to lean into this, like, I am the not Miss Congeniality version of Katya as well. I'm kooky. I'm different. I do all these things. Because like a lot of like the like little things that she did here was very similar to like what Katya did on the runway or, you know, those kind of things. And I really get the sense that I'm not trying to say that she's not a good drag queen, but I am going to say that I think that she knows who RuPaul likes. and is very good at emulating that. And so rather than getting a good sense of who she is, it's like a snake eating its own tail of Drag Race references, if that makes sense. That's the impression I'm getting from her, on top of very calculated, not reads, just insults. She just seems very produced, self-produced.
Yeah, I thought it was silly. I thought it was perfectly silly and fine. I just the source material for me wasn't great or engaging. If it was like if it was an innuendo in the way that Liana suggested, then I would feel much better about it. But just you sniffed your finger after smelling a burger, and now you have a song about a burger finger. I mean, that is very drag, but I don't know. I guess I didn't respond well to it, and the whole ending with the. I don't know, y'all. I'm just not. I want to cancel the flight. Okay, I'm the crazy plane lady right now, and I'm not crazy for Plain Jane. I don't know. I just have to.
Are you Plain lady going, that motherfucker right there? Is it real?
That motherfucker there is not talented
and calculating.
Oh, that's really funny.
I mean, is it? Are we just going to continue to get like? And it's fine if she's going to be a whore the whole season. If that is who Plain Jane is. That's fine. I wish that we could mix in a little bit more of the other personalities there, because I feel like right now it was so Plain Jane heavy that I'm like, okay, like I get it. So it does make me wonder a little bit, like, why they did split them up in the way that they did, because like I mean the second episode girls were calling themselves the B team, and it's like kind of hard not to feel that way, because I have to imagine like when you're producing a show, you want viewership, right? And so I think the producers were having a conversation. They were like, who do we think is the best showcase for the premiere episode? And they chose those girls and not these ones. So it does make me wonder, especially since we did have a bit more of a variety of the talent show exhibitions, why they didn't sort of like mix and match just a touch more. But I guess we'll find out. We'll see.
Also, if I'm a producer, I'm putting Morphine in with Plain Jane. I'm sorry. I don't know why they split those two up. I guess they wanted people who were like not afraid to read queens in 2 different episodes or something. But I'm like, I can't wait to see Morphine, Queen of Safira, as I have seen some people call it. Like people have been going like Amanda going into Sephora and being like, I need your help, Queen. And it's just like Morphine's face on top of like the like manager at Sephora being like, I got you, boo. But I am like, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what it's like.
Maybe that's why, right? Now we have the anticipation of what it's going to be like when this character meets all these other really big characters. So that could also be part of the decision.
And I also thought her reveal was stupid.
Like why the Russian robe to the big titted bimbo from Boston? I guess maybe it was like, this is my personality. I'm Russian.
That I understood.
But big titted bimbo from Boston.
Because they're both cold places? No.
Well, I think she's Russian, right? So
she's Russian, and so, like Boston, we got that, and she's also from Boston, and so I think
make the Russian coat have the Boston colors. I don't know. Am I bragging too much? I don't know.
Tie it together a little.
I don't know. I wasn't like I think that she was middle of the pack for me for like both things, you know, because I could absolutely see her runway. I know exactly what she was doing. I love the element of it being so fucking different and you don't expect it, but it also ties into who she is. Like I loved how beautiful that Russian robe coat was. Like it was absolutely stunning. And then she takes it away.
And she threw it on the floor.
And like, but like also the way her hair was tucked into the robe to make it look like she had a bob on, and then she takes it away and she has like this long, you know, blonde wig, and she's acting like Katya up on stage. And I was just like, I get it. I kind of get it now. Like I get who she is and like what she's trying to do. Like she's going to be stupid, but she's also going to be able to like drag it up. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I'm gonna place an embargo on myself from more Plain Jane critiques.
I'm so curious to see how this goes as we move forward. All right, Yeah, or yeah, I think because it was it felt overexposure, right, in this episode, and
Mhm.
maybe that could be part of the reason. I mean, I thought the talent was fine. I thought it was funny. The part I actually like genuinely truly laughed at for some reason was the long delayed squeeze, like way after the
That
number was
was
done, just
yes.
continuing to squeeze. I don't know why that made me laugh. I very much enjoyed that. And maybe I'm thinking it's an innuendo because of Stankfanga. Again, Stankfanga, Burger Finger, again, it all comes back to Jimbo.
Yeah.
But anyway. Let's talk about the runways. We've already sort of touched a little bit on certain looks. Is there any other looks that we want to bring up? For me, I got to talk about Megami again with sort of and I think this is why it just I like almost want to critique her performance more because of also I think a poor interpretation of the reveal, right? Like I get what she's going for the eyes, but that would be something for a different runway theme. And I'm a little bit nervous that her looks are going to be maybe force fit into the different categories, which queens do a lot, right? But you kind of have to just really make sure that you add something that's going to make it fit a little bit better with your pre-existing looks. So that makes me nervous for her in the long run in the competition.
I agree. And I also thought that Maya had kind of a weaker look as well with like the glove and bathing suit kind of situation. That to me was it was like the concept was there, but the execution wasn't for me. Like it just didn't go far enough.
I think Nymphia, when, like I said before, sort of like really knocked it out of the park. I think that she had the best reveal out of all of them. Megami,
certainly the most reveals too.
Yeah, the most. I liked Plasma's. Plasma's was fun. It was classic burlesque. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, classic with the tomato pin cushion. But no, the takeoff. Yeah. No. I get what you mean. I
like Geneva's mariachi guy to like she was supposed to say Mario to Maria. I loved that. And I again, especially after her like especially after having her like kind of cultural performance as well, to have a runway that kind of matched that vibe, I thought was really great.
And I think it also, again, this is who you are. So that sort of helps with the defining in the same way with Nymphia. We get, like, you understand it.
I didn't think I'd like Hershey's length of her dress, but I actually did. I didn't agree with Michelle there. I thought it was, I thought that was so beautiful and beautifully constructed. And I instantly kind of got that this was her trying to like make her like auntie at church glamorous and like you know what I mean, like that's just kind of like the vibe I got from it, and I thought it was absolutely stunning. I think that she's so gorgeous.
The for her the editors added in the it's chocolate sound that I was dying. So funny.
I literally wrote it's chocolate noise.
Okay. Let's see. What else do we have to discuss? Mini challenger lip sync. Aman, what do you want to talk about first?
I can do the mini challenge.
Okay, we have another photography challenge at the She MV. This time, there's no wall separating Ru, and T.S. Madison and Love Connie was also there, at least for a little bit at the beginning. So we got a full star-studded cast. T.S. Madison was so fun and so funny. I'm really happy that they brought her in. And Nymphia wins. Beth, do you have any highlights from the mini challenge?
I'm gonna be honest, the mini challenge for me was just kind of forgettable in general. It was a whole bunch of people posing. I thought the best part of it was T.S. Madison, as it always is. Can we please, you know what? I have such reverence for Carson and Ross, but it's time for a new panel. I would love to see T.S. Madison be one of them. And there goes Aman. But I would love to see T.S. Madison. Could you imagine the panel being T.S. Madison and Love Connie instead of like, you know, Ross and Carson?
I really feel like they need to do a rotating of Ru girls too. Like there should be like a little guest spot for a Ru girl every time.
I like that.
And just because that would just breed so much more drama too. Ooh.
So I know in season Oh my God. Okay, wait, now I need that. Okay, yeah, do away with the guest judges. Bring in a queen.
So
for each
why
one.
did you choose to do that then? It would be
Well,
so
what you
room for
thought it
everybody.
looked like wasn't necessarily what it actually looked like.
look like.
Yeah, Gianna design challenge. Well, T.S. Madison, I know for last season, season 15, officially joined the panel as one of the rotating judges, and I assume that that will continue for the season. Although obviously we haven't seen it because we've seen Kirsten Ross for these first 2 episodes, so I'm hoping that that does actually continue and we get to see her more on the judging panel. I would say for me, from the mini challenge, and this is probably because I'm 5 years old, the eye cup joke, the ICUP is part of the eye challenge. Like, and Nymphia like does her own thing, which is fine, and it's so funny. Just I never.
But I like that RuPaul was like, "Yep, that's what it says."
Yep.
And I love that RuPaul just went with it because he was like, "Okay, that's also funny," but it also would have been like,
Yeah,
"I
you
had
don't
a
need
joke
it.
here prepared. Read this."
Yeah. All right. Let's close things out with the lip sync. So we get Becky G's Shower, a song that we all know. And Plain Jane and Geneva Carr are our 2 performers. Look, I would still give the win to Plain Jane here.
I would too.
I felt like she just outperformed Geneva. And although I think Geneva did fine, I think that I couldn't keep my eyes off Plain Jane. Like, I just couldn't. I don't know why. Titty, yes, probably, but still. Even when she put it back, I couldn't stop staring at her.
They didn't blur out the nipple, but then I realized that I was watching it later on YouTube TV. So I was like,
no, I watched it live. I watched it live, and they didn't blur it. I thought of you,
They didn't blur it?
We've had that. Yes, they didn't blur it because we've had that conversation about what nipples they do and do not blur. And no, it was not blurred.
It was not blurred.
Full nip out. It was wonderful. It was truly. We've progressed as a
Come
society.
on, cable.
Yes, MTV.
Wow, they really freeing the nipple. Okay, I'm here for it.
I will say, I think the thing that sold it for me for Plain Jane is purely the moment where she seems to realize that her boob is out and puts it back.
Yeah,
in
I couldn't tell if that was
I couldn't tell either, and I don't care because she sold me on that regardless. And that was like, okay, nothing else is going to happen that's going to make me feel like it should be anybody else here.
Yeah. All right, so Plain Jane's our winner. We are, of course, no one eliminated. We're going to be moving on next week to the queens coming together, meeting each other. Oh, very exciting. And unfortunately,
and then Ruth said you get one last chance to rate your queen. So I was like, what does that mean? Is that only like a 3-episode thing and then it's gone? Does it come intermittently? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, that was my interpretation of it too. So, okay, we're going to do one more rated queen, but I assumed that someone was going to be going home as a consequence of that, but maybe not. I don't know. I didn't even get a sense of what the challenge was going to be next week, or maybe I just missed that in the next time on.
I'm going to be,
I don't know,
a pillar of salt if we have an entire month of January where nobody goes home. I know that nobody wants to be the first queen going home.
Well, he did say one of you will be going home.
Okay, thank God.
Oh, okay, all right, good. That's what I thought.
But I didn't get the sense. Did they say that next week was going to be the rated queen, or just in general, sometime in the future there would be a rated queen?
No, he was like, you get one more chance to rate a queen. So I don't know how the bottom two. I guess instead of lip syncing for immunity, then actually I don't know how it's going to go. Are they going to lip sync for immunity again if you're in the top, and then the bottom two? What do the bottom two do then? Do they just what happens?
Maybe there's no lip sync for your life. Maybe it's just whoever was ranked the bottom just automatically goes home.
Well, or the ranked bottom two lip sync for their, the bottom two lip sync, and then
whoever the top ranked person gets immunity. Maybe.
Oh yeah, just who wins the challenge
whoever's ranked number one.
Or whoever's ranked number one, or maybe there's 2 lip syncs.
You don't want there to be too much immune shit happening, because if someone gets immunity next week, that means that there's going to be 3 out of 13 queens that are immune. So it's just
yeah,
and we still don't know how that is. Is it? We're assuming that whoever Safira and Plain Jane would be immune this next week, but I don't know. I don't think it goes away. So I think that they would be able to hold on to it.
Exactly. That was my interpretation from hearing the language from last week was you can use it or you choose or something, because it was like, what one do you want
Mhm.
immunity for? But yeah, maybe it is just, well, they're immune next, those two are immune next week, and then we'll just each week one queen will have immunity. It'll work like it did before. We'll find all that out, hopefully in the next coming weeks, as we continue throughout the season. All right. Anything else that we want to say about this episode? Beth, Aman, I'll kick things off. Nymphia broke Lil Pound Cake's arm. R.I.P. Hopefully she can get that fixed.
That relic it's
I
yeah.
know. That
Didn't do it.
poor doll.
I thought that it looked like they might have fixed it before. Didn't they have like
Maybe.
a shot of it? Maybe.
Yeah, it
maybe.
was
Back on.
detachable. It was like a
Okay.
little
Okay.
clasp in there.
Good.
Okay, good. Phew. Okay.
No, not for me. I enjoyed the episode. I'm really excited for everyone to come together next week. I think we're in for a really good season. Yeah, I'm excited.
Fantastic. And Aman, do you have any plugs that you want to give?
Nope,
Anything
nothing to
else?
plug right now. Just
Okay.
enjoying the beginning of my new year, watching Drag Race and
Yeah.
working towards my resolutions, baby.
Great. Yes. We support. And Beth, what about you?
You can follow me on all my Instagram. You can, but all my social medias was what I was gonna say. At AugustaWind11. And I'm pretty much talking Drag Race, talking a little traders on My Weekly Meltdown. If you want supplemental coverage to what you get here on RHAP.
Great. And I am also on social media on Twitter at Liana RHAP, living the Drag Race life and also working on my resolution. So we're having a stellar start to the year and a stellar start to the Drag Race season. So we'll be back next week to cover episode 3, the reunion. As I said at the top of the show, leave your star ratings and reviews for us on iTunes if you would, please. That would be very helpful. And also a big shout out to the RHAP team for all of their help behind the scenes. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.